On the line with us right now is Greg Palast, the investigative journalist, the author of How Trump Stole 2020. GregPalast.com is his website. You can tweet him at Greg_Palast, P-A-L-A-S-T. And Greg, this is just an amazing story you are pushing out here about this guy who's taking on Chevron. Tell us about it.
Okay, Steve Donziger is under house arrest. He is the attorney who won a $9.5 billion judgment against Chevron Corporation in Ecuador for poisoning the people of the Amazon. I was down there reporting for I was doing my own investigation for BBC television, and I met with, for example, the chief of the COFAN. His son had gone swimming in a 5-year-old son went swimming in a pool that was shiny with, it was just shiny and looked nice in the jungle, the rainforest, and he said, and he came up vomiting blood and dropped dead in his father's arms. So the chief, I went with him. He's wearing war paint. He's naked from the chest up, from the waist up, and he files a lawsuit against Chevron for his son's death and the death of his other son who died of cancer. And they're laughing at him.
Hang on just a second.
This
is because that slick on the water that his son dove into was a petroleum dump by Chevron, right? That's
an illegal petroleum dump by Chevron's Texaco unit. Okay. Illegal.
Right.
You can't do that stuff in the U.S. You can't just dump your oil sludge. It's poison. It kills.
But this was the Bolivian forest, right?
Yeah,
or
this
the
is
Ecuadorian
rainforest,
jungle. Yeah.
Up the Amazon. So I was up there in the Amazon with the chief, and he filed, and they're laughing at him. 4 years later, 2011, he wins $9.5 billion because he got help from a lawyer named Steve Donziger. This is Barack Obama's Harvard Law School mate who could have made a killing. Instead, he gave up everything, every penny, every job to work in the past decade and a half to defend the indigenous people of the Amazon rainforest against Chevron and the oil company.
So why is this lawyer
in $9.5 billion?
Why is this lawyer in home detention? Why is he under arrest?
Yeah, and he's facing jail time on October 8th. He will be sentenced for so-called contempt of court because Chevron ran around looking for a judge, and they found a right-wing judge named Louis Kaplan, who demanded that Donziger turn over his cell phones and computers so they could identify which indigenous people were going after Chevron and insiders in the corporation giving away their secrets, which could be a death sentence for these people. Steve refused. That's just a civil question. And because he appealed the decision that he should turn over his cell phones and computers, he was sentenced without trial to 2 years of home detention, and now he's facing a prison term. But here's the problem, Tom. Federal prosecutors told the judge to go fly that this is ridiculous. You can't charge a lawyer with put a lawyer behind bars because he won't turn over his personal documents.
And he's protecting a whistleblower, essentially.
And he's protecting whistleblowers. It's client confidentiality, et cetera. So the feds laughed him off. You know what the judge did? For the first time in U.S. history, he appointed Chevron's law firm to act as the prosecution in a trial against Steve Donziger. Donziger asked for a jury trial because, hey, have you read the Constitution lately? You get a jury trial as a criminal charge. And the judge said, no, you can't have a jury, and I'm going to bar you from making a public defense. And he said, you're guilty, and you're going to jail.
What jurisdiction is this happening in? Who's this judge?
It's Louis Kaplan ordered this, and then he picked another judge to work with him who's from the Federalist Society, the Koch operation that pumps out these ultra-right judges.
Yeah, they brought us Brett Kavanaugh.
The feds, even Trump's Justice Department would not prosecute Donziger, the lawyer for the indigenous people. But so they literally used
is this a state court or a federal? This is a federal court.
Federal court.
In which state?
So what happened is In New York
In New York.
Southern
Thank
District. So what's happened is that you literally have Chevron's own lawyers acting as the prosecution. This has never been done in American history, where you have a corporate prosecution on a criminal charge of an individual citizen and, of course, denied a jury trial. It's insane. You have 60 Nobel Prize winners. You have Senator Markey and a whole bunch of Congress people screaming about this. Every human rights group like Human Rights Watch, Amazon Watch, etc., who are screaming about this corporate prosecution of this human rights lawyers and his whistleblowers. I mean, it is. And meanwhile, by the way, Chevron has refused to pay the $9 billion. And, you know, I have to tell you, I was down there, and they also went after journalists, including a guy named Greg Palast. They tried to get me fired from BBC. They filed a formal complaint. I had a one-year court hearing myself. I saved my job, but now they can't stand Steve Donziger, this human rights lawyer going up against Chevron.
What is being done about this, Greg? I understand that you and a bunch of other people are trying to highlight this, and and so am I. It's why you're on this program right now. But is there anything that can be done?
Yes, today, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and in 15 cities around the world, from San Francisco to Los Angeles. I'll be in Los Angeles. Go to gregpalast.com for the information. Tel Aviv, and also in Quito, Ecuador, will be protesting this impending imprisonment of Steve Donziger. He's already under house arrest for 2 years. This is ridiculous.
Is there anybody that this can be I mean, the Biden administration, the Department of Justice, members of Congress? Is there anybody who could be petitioned or called or contacted or lobbied about this?
Yes, I think now that we have Biden, and it's time for the Justice Department to step in and say two things. Number one, no more corporations appointed to prosecute individuals that they don't like. This has never happened in American history.
They just lost $9.5 billion, too. Yes.
Yeah, and two, free Steve Donziger, his great human rights lawyer. What is he doing under arrest? And three, Chevron, pay the money you owe to the people you killed. It's that simple. And I got to tell you, one of the reasons they went after me is because I went on BBC television and showed a document where the president of Chevron personally ordered the removal of all documents and their destruction that showed that the company had dumped oil illegally. I have the documentation, and that's why they wanted to pull me off the air.
Wow. Okay,
so let's get Biden. Let's put a little pressure on Biden and the Justice Department and Merrick Garland to say no more corporate prosecutions.
Yeah, I'm with you. So you can find out all about it over at Greg Palast, GregPalast.com. And you can tweet Greg and follow the whole thing on Twitter, Greg_Palast. If you're not following him, you should be. Greg, thank you. Thank you for dropping by today and keeping us up to date on this.
You're the best, Tom. Thank you.
You too. We'll be back.